Sponsored by Stand Up to All Hate. Call a timeout against hate.
One of the things that Pete Prisco takes great pleasure in is seeing the poor quarterback play of none other than Kirk Cousins, who, look, if you're a Raider fan and you're listening to this, you're just trying to hold on to that number one pick so you can get Shedeur Sanders. That's the goal. All right, Shedeur Sanders in Las Vegas, that's got superstar potential, LaVar. That's got all the makings and all the ingredients for a good spot.
They're going to let AP have him and be the coach, or are they going in a different direction?
Yeah, probably not. They're probably going to go in a different direction, which is which sucks. It's not like AP's had the the most to work with there. But one of the things that Pete Prisco has discussed and talked about on the show before is Kirk Cousins and Kirk Cousins' struggles, and he's not the biggest fan of one Kirk Cousins. Now, the good news is Kirk did throw a touchdown last night, but he also threw an interception. Pretty lackluster performance. The Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9. That score, that game was pretty much what you expected going into the game. Yeah, terrible. Which was with the perfect co-star to the other one on double barrel action in the NFL on Monday Night Football when you saw the Vikings smoke the Bears, who were also a bad football team. And so the conversation continues with Kirk Cousins. He's not playing well. Are they going to make a move? Here was Raheem Morris, the Falcons head coach, postgame.
He's got to play better. And, obviously you got to go back, you got to be able to look at everything. But, he wants to play better. He's got to play better. We got to find a way to get him to play better. And obviously we'll get to work tomorrow, and that's a part of our process, right? You go, you look at the tape, you review with the people that needs to be reviewed with. We get all the coordinators in the room. We'll talk with everybody. And we got to play better at the quarterback position.
Are you prepared to replace him with Michael Penix?
We got everybody in our roster for a reason, right? We got so much to get better at, and those things will always be discussed. That's just the nature of the beast in football. It's just so heavily talked about it at the quarterback position because there's only one guy out there. So for us, man, our mentality is to find a way to win the next game. That's just the mentality that we're going to have.
All right. That was Raheem Morris talking about there's a way to not answer the question about whether or not Michael Penix would replace Kirk Cousins. I think they're getting close, and I also think that if Atlanta didn't still have an opportunity to go to the playoffs and win that division, that the move would have already been made. This is too many games in a row that this has been, we're talking 4 or 5 weeks in a row. It's now a thing. This is a common occurrence when it comes to Kirk Cousins. I think they would have already made the move if they weren't in the playoff hunt.
If they felt Michael Penix gave them a better opportunity to win, Michael Penix would be playing right now. If they feel moving forward that Michael Penix is the better option and them having an opportunity to win, then Michael Penix will be the guy moving forward. I think it's as simple as that. The fact that he said they need to play better at the quarterback's position, he needs to play better at the quarterback's position. It sounds as though he still is giving Kirk Cousins the nod of belief and confidence and his ability to lead this team to victories. That's what it sounds like. And so if he feels as though that's what it is, but he also told you and he gave you a little bit of transparency and saying, now listen, we're going to bring the coordinators in, we're going to bring the coaches in, we're going to look at the film, we're going to talk about it, we're going to evaluate it, and we're going to assess it, and we'll make a decision from there. And when you have guys on your roster that can lead to the conversations of, is he a better option than the one we're currently using, then nothing is going to be off the table. So I think he was pretty transparent. I thought he was pretty honest in what his explanation was, and I thought it was a sound explanation. I think he's 100% right. They do have to play better at the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins has to play better at the quarterback's position. I don't know if it's the yips. I don't know what it is. Ever since he got hit in that last game, he's, it's like he doesn't want to get hit. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, he needs to play better, and he needs to play at a higher level than what he is. And I don't think anybody needs to tell him that. They drafted a quarterback with a first-round top pick. So you don't need to be reminded of the fact that you have a wolf on your ass. You gotta play. Now, granted, you got a good contract, and they're paying you a lot of money, but if you're only going to rest in the laurels and rest in the comfort of knowing that you're getting paid a lot of money, then you rest in that, and you'll most likely not have a job there next year, and you'll end up somewhere else, and your price tag goes down. So he can do himself a lot of good by playing well the rest of the way, not only just for the sake of the season, but not only the sake of the team, but for the sake of his own personal price tag as well. I mean, he should be wanting to put his best foot forward.
It feels like the Kirk Cousins that we're seeing over the past, I mean, and it was, the point I was making earlier, like, this isn't just like it's been one or two games here and there that he struggled. Like, we're seeing a consistent trend at this point in the season, and it just feels like maybe this is going to be the Kirk Cousins that we get moving forward.
Dorisaw is out. They've had some injuries. He is under pressure. He's under duress. He's taking some hits. I mean, listen, if I'm closer to the situation, I could probably give a better explanation in terms of what I would think it is as to why he's throwing the ball away or he's not playing as well as he could be. But with that being said, just looking at it from my perspective, I mean, he's just a guy that doesn't want to get hit.
Which is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to get hit.
Because I think that Raheem Morris, I don't know that he would want to put Michael Penix Jr. in this spot when they have so much to still play for. And that's why I think that if they were already out of the playoff hunt and there was nothing to play for, then Michael Penix Jr. would be starting. But I don't think maybe he wants to put him in that situation with all of this on the line, knowing that, hey, he's a rookie, he hasn't played, there's going to be some growing pains. We're not going to throw away the season right now if we've still got an opportunity to win it. And look, they're just a game back behind Tampa Bay. It feels like Tampa Bay, especially with their schedule, is going to win that division and kind of cruise to it. But I think we're seeing sort of the end of the road coming up here pretty quick on Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. And
he's not playing at a high enough level, again, for him to be, the validation of keeping him there.
They've got so much talent, man. Like
they have,
Robinson.
and they're underperforming. They're underperforming, and then now you got to have the question of, as a head coach, it falls at your feet to understand and explain why it is and fix why it is that the team is underperforming. And again, you get an opportunity to draft Michael Penix. Nobody saw that coming, really. Whoever did, good for you, but I don't think too many people saw that coming. It happens. So it says that you're now planning for your quarterback, your franchise quarterback of the future, but you brought in a franchise quarterback in free agency. So that says to me immediately that you are buying time until Michael Penix is ready to play. So if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm going into this scenario, I'm not going to play scared. I'm not going to play, at a poor level because I got my money. You got to play at a high level if you're planning on getting another check, which that's what it looks like would happen is if he plays well, he finds an opportunity to get another check. I don't think he becomes just a backup at the price tag that he has. Maybe I'm incorrect on that, but I don't think that he becomes a backup to Michael Penix moving forward. I think that you go in a different direction, and that different direction is Michael Penix, and Kirk Cousins gets an opportunity to look elsewhere, I would assume. So if I'm Kirk Cousins, outside of it being I'm tired of getting hit, and it's really like it's messing with my nerves and my stability here, and that's why I'm throwing the ball away, and that's why I'm not playing at a high level. He's got to live with the consequences of playing at a low level. But outside of that, if I'm Kirk Cousins, you got to try to play as well as you possibly can in this period of time because you don't know what the future holds for you. You just know the handwriting is certainly on the wall for you not to be the starter in Atlanta. That's what you do know.
That Achilles, man, that Achilles injury, like Aaron Rodgers, not the same player. Kirk Cousins, not even close to the same player.
Well, generally speaking, when you have a major injury and surgery like an Achilles tendon or an ACL tear, any type of real major ligament repair, you should have a season to get yourself back healthy. I mean, generally speaking, in the past, it's taken 6 months or so for somebody to really, and then you got to find the confidence, and there's a lot of mental aspects that are connected to injuries. You know what's an interesting thing about injuries and major injuries? They take you in, they assess you physically. Then they do the surgery physically. Then they assess what the surgery was, then they do the physical rehab. But you never hear, oh, they had to scoop him up. It was a mental injury. Like his emotional was injured. It needs surgery.
Right.
You never hear any assessments on that. You never hear any assessments on what's the rehab on the guy mentally. You never hear any of those things. You never hear how do you address him afterwards in terms of what the mental, emotional damage and the rehab process of that. What does that look like? You don't see that. And a lot of times people don't understand that it's more the mental and the emotional aspects of coming back from those types of injuries than it is anything else.
I can't even look. You've dealt with this a lot more than I have, obviously, but I had one major injury, which was my knee injury that I suffered. And it's not like I was an athlete or I was missing
But think about how it made you feel mentally
depressed.
when you did it. See?
I remember because I couldn't do the things that I was accustomed to doing. And
you start to think about all the other things that go along with the injury. Like, how do I get around? Or just simple things like the pain. There are a lot of things that take an emotional and mental toll on you when you have an injury,
and that wasn't my livelihood. I was working an office job. I didn't need. I really, it's not like I was going to be running routes or playing basketball or playing like.
But it dramatically altered your life.
So I can't imagine as an athlete going through that at that age, and money or not, whatever the paychecks are. But I just can't imagine going through that and knowing that my body is literally my path to success, and it's failing me at that point in time. That is depressing, man. And
there has to be an addressing of those emotions and those feelings. And that mental thought process. Like, I just don't understand why there isn't just as big a rehab service for your mind as much as they have for the physical aspect for your body. They just anticipate that once your leg is strong enough, once your injury is repaired and it's back to normal physically, that's your go. Like, that's it. Time to go. Is it stable? Good. It's stable. Time to go. But you don't know what that man is dealing with emotionally and mentally coming off of that injury. And a quarterback being out there, being under duress, you try to move. Do you trust that you're going, is it going to hold up? Am I going to hurt something else? And some would say, well, then you don't need to be playing the game if that's how you're thinking. But it's human nature to think about things like that when you're out there.
Yeah.
And if you don't address it properly in the way most guys, I would assume, I know the way I addressed it was I had to play through not playing well until I got confident enough to do the things that made me made me good. And you got to be able to push through those moments. And maybe that's where Kirk Cousins is right now. I don't, they're late in the season. It seems like he played fairly well early on. Didn't seem to be too many complaints or too many problems about him, but he started getting hit.
Yeah.
And once he started getting hit and they started catching up to him, his game changed. It was like it was more important to get rid of the ball than it was to get hit. Then you stop seeing the field because you're nervous about what your clock is. Like, my clock is gone off. The alarm is going off. This ball's got to come out, and I don't care if it gets picked off or if we catch it. I don't care. This ball is coming out.
I mean, that's why some people are worried about Caleb Williams with the number of hits he's taken.
And that's why it's going to be such a big decision as to what direction they go in, because you do not want a guy to get used to. I mean, you remember what happened to the elder Carr, not the younger one, but the elder Carr. He got hit so many times that it ruined him. It ruined him, man. You don't want a gunshot quarterback, bro. You know what you got to do with a gunshot horse?
What's that?
You got to put it down.
Damn.
You got to put him down.
Well, depending on the track you're at, they'll just do it for you. Just saying. You know.
Sponsored by Stand Up to All Hate. Call a timeout against hate.